I was 16 when I took what I thought would be the easiest babysitting job of my life. It was for a family that lived just 3 streets away from mine, in a quiet suburban neighborhood where nothing ever really happened. The kind of area where people left their cars unlocked in their driveways and kids rode bikes until late evening without anyone worrying. The parents were friends of my mom. I'd met them a few times at small neighborhood get-togethers, so when they asked if I could watch their son for a few hours on a Saturday night, it didn't feel like I was going into a stranger's home. It felt safe by default. Their son, Ethan, was 7. Quiet kid, polite. The type who says thank you even when you hand him something small like a glass of water. My mom dropped me off around 7:45 p.m. The sun was already starting to set, and the sky had that dim orange glow that only lasts for a few minutes before everything goes dark. As we pulled into their driveway, I remember noticing how normal everything looked. Their porch light was on, their living room lights were warm and bright, and through the window I could see Ethan sitting on the floor with a tablet. Their parents greeted me at the door like I was doing them the biggest favor in the world. They thanked me multiple times, went over basic instructions, and told me they'd be back by around 11:30. Dinner was already prepared, just heated up at 7:30. Ethan's bedtime was 9 o'clock. If he got scared at night, just leave the hallway light on and keep his bedroom door slightly open. Simple enough. Before leaving, Ethan's dad walked me to the back door and showed me the lock. He told me they almost never used the front door. Everyone came through the garage or the back. He pointed at the back door and said something that at the time didn't seem important. Make sure this stays locked, the top deadbolt too. Sometimes it doesn't latch unless you push it hard. I nodded and told him I understood. He tested it once, pushing the door firmly and turning it until it clicked. Then they left. At first, everything was completely normal. Ethan and I sat in the living room watching some random animated movie while he ate dinner on the coffee table. He talked a little about school and showed me some game he liked playing on his tablet. Nothing unusual, nothing weird. By 9:45, I told him it was time to get ready for bed. He didn't argue. He just paused his game, went upstairs, brushed his teeth, and got into bed without any fuss. Honestly, it was the easiest babysitting job I'd ever had. His bedroom was at the end of the hallway on the 2nd floor. There were 2 other empty bedrooms across from his and a bathroom halfway down the hall. His room itself was small but cozy. Nightlight on the dresser, a few stuffed animals on the bed, and a closet with sliding doors on one side. After reading him a short story, I turned off the main light and left the nightlight on. I kept his door slightly open like his parents said. As I stepped into the hallway, he called my name quietly. I turned back and asked what was wrong. He sat up a little and said, "Can you leave the hallway light on all night?" I told him of course and switched it on. He lay back down, hugged one of his stuffed animals, and within a minute he looked completely settled. I went downstairs and sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone and occasionally glancing at the TV. The house was quiet, peaceful. Exactly what you'd expect from a normal babysitting night. Around 9:30, I decided to check that all the doors were locked, mostly just out of habit. I walked to the kitchen and looked at the back door. The bottom lock was turned, locked. I reached up and touched the deadbolt. It felt locked too. I remember specifically tugging the handle slightly to make sure. It didn't move. So I went back to the living room and sat down again. About 15 minutes later, I heard a faint sound upstairs. It was so faint that at first I thought it was just the house settling. Old houses make random noises all the time, especially at night. But then I heard it again. A slow, soft thump, like something lightly hitting a wall. I muted the TV and listened. Silence. I waited maybe 10 seconds before unmuting it again, telling myself I was just being paranoid. Kids move in their sleep. Houses creak. It was nothing. Then I heard footsteps. Very light ones. Upstairs. I stood up straight and looked toward the staircase. My first thought was that Ethan had gotten out of bed to use the bathroom,
That was normal. Kids do that. So I got up and walked towards the stairs, expecting to see him standing at the top or walking down the hallway. But when I reached the bottom and looked up, the hallway light was still on. His bedroom door was still slightly open, and no one was there. I stood there for a moment, listening carefully. The house was completely silent again. I told myself he probably just shifted in bed and I misheard it. Still, I walked upstairs anyway. Each step felt louder than it should have. The wooden stairs creaked softly under my feet as I reached the top and stepped into the hallway. The light cast long shadows across the carpet, making everything look slightly different than it had earlier. I walked towards Ethan's room and gently pushed the door open a little more. He was in bed, exactly where he should be, lying on his side, facing the wall, completely still. I let out a small breath I didn't even realize I'd been holding. I was about to turn and go back downstairs when he spoke, very quietly. "Did you come in my room?" His voice was half asleep but confused. I felt a strange chill run through my chest. I stepped closer to the bed and told him no, I'd just come upstairs now to check on him. He turned slowly to face me. In the dim glow of the nightlight, I could see his expression clearly. He didn't look sleepy anymore. He looked uneasy. He swallowed and said, "I thought you came in here a minute ago." I forced a small laugh and told him he was probably dreaming, that sometimes when you're half asleep, things feel real even when they aren't. He didn't respond right away. He just kept looking towards his closet. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. "I heard someone standing in there."
If you ever find yourself alone in a situation that doesn't feel right, trust that feeling. Because sometimes the smallest decision, sending a text, making a call, pressing a button, can be the difference between getting home safely and becoming a story someone else tells online. Stay aware, stay safe, and most importantly, never ignore that feeling when something isn't right.